Today on Commander Replay, we're back with some more Syr Alin the Lion's Claw. Is Mono White OP? Find out next on Commander Replay. I want to thank my awesome Patreon supporters. We have one new Patreon supporter in Daniel. Daniel, you are awesome. If you want to help support the channel and vote on which decks I play next, feel free to check out my Patreon at the link below. And be sure to use my TCG affiliate player link, because it helps support the channel and it doesn't cost you anything. Welcome back, everyone. Playing some more Syr Alin the Lion's Claw. We got a little rematch going with our same opponents. We won the die roll. We get to go first. It is our turn one. We drew into this Myriad Landscape off the top, which is actually really good with this Soul Ring. So initially the hand was 2 lands plus Soul Ring, which is like a little bit nerve-wracking because there's not a lot of mana there, but we have Elesh Norn and other good stuff. But let's go Myriad Landscape, and we'll look to get that cracked next turn. Get ourselves some planes. Gamble. Turn 1 gamble for the Torbran opponent. Yup. They discard a Chandra Acolyte of Flame. Interesting. Wonder if that was the one they went for or not. So we've got Angel of Jubilation in our opening hand, by the way, and this thing absolutely hoses a lot of green and black type of stuff. Players can't pay life or sacrifice creatures to cast spells or activate abilities. And whenever you start talking about things like Viscera Seer and decks that want sack outlets, Angel of Jubilation really good against that stuff. Now, on the other hand, this is an ETB effect, which is a triggered ability, which I don't think Angel of Jubilation will stop. So we'll need to be careful with that. Probably not going to end up doing so much in this game other than just being an Anthem, but still, it's just a great thing to have. If someone tries to lay down like a Greater Good or something like that, it can shut that off. So really sweet hoser card. Anyway, that'll bring it to our turn 2. Let's play the planes, play the Soul Ring, use the Soul Ring, crack the Myriad Landscape, get 2 planes, and pass the turn. Mana crit for the Torbran opponent. That is probably what they gambled for, I would guess. Tunneling Geoped. There's one you don't see. Whenever a land enters the battlefield under your control, it deals 1 damage to each opponent. Yeah, if Torbran's in, that's a lot of damage. Now, the one thing I will say is that red decks tend to run out of lands just a little bit more than most other colors, because red doesn't draw super well. If you're using a lot of the impulse type of stuff, you're not always getting lands out of that. But if you've built card draw into the deck, or you're using something like a Thaumatic Compass, which we just drew, then you can hit those late land drops. But that's going to be a lot of damage. That's a little bit scary. What do we do in this turn? So thinking about like Recruiter of the Guard, Stoneforge Mystic, Skullclamp, or something like that. Yeah, I think that's what we want to be doing. Play Recruiter of the Guard. We'll get to search for a creature. We'll just take a look, see if there's anything more interesting than that, but I think Stoneforge Mystic is probably our best option. Syr Ascendant's pretty cool. Syr Ascendant is lifelink. Maybe we're going that way instead, and we'll look to get card advantage elsewhere. Lifelink seems like a really good idea. Yeah, let's get Syr Ascendant. Play Syr Ascendant. Play New Benalia. Get a Scry. Flooded Strand on top. I want to keep making those land drops, so we'll leave that right there. And we'll pass the turn like that. Mana Crypt Flip on the Torbran. Opponent plays the land. There's that Tunneling Geoped trigger. They do win the Mana Crypt Flip. Here comes Torbran. Yep. Turn 3 Torbran. Here comes a Prowling Serpentpod for the Thromok opponent. Rhys does have a Mosswart Bridge in play, as well as their Mistveil Plains getting all their utility lands going. There's an Oketra's Monument. That's a good one. Rhys the Redeemed into play. Brings it back to our turn. There's the Flooded Strand. Crack the Flooded Strand. Normally I'd go for the Mistveil Plains, but I think I'm just going to cast the Elesh Norn this turn. So cast Elesh Norn. And opponents are playing like more or less token decks, so this is going to hose everyone pretty good. Going to find out who's got removal. Certainly going to get used if they have it. Send an attack into Torbran. They're the ones that'll make our life total go away most quickly. Mana Crypt Flip on Torbran. Lose the flip down to 26. Nothing like a turn 4 Elesh Norn. Labra Crew into play. So there's 2 red decks and a white deck at the table, which means if anyone has a board wipe, we're going to be seeing it. Which means I probably don't really want to reinforce with creatures all that much. Next turn, I'm probably going to be looking at like Thaumatic Compass and activate, grab a land, see what we draw. Really want to be casting like non-creatures at this moment. If we have to cast anything, I'll go for the commander just because we can get it back later if we need it. And this is what I talked about in the wrap-up of Game 1 with Syr Alin, is that just if you want to go the route of pumping tokens, having Elesh Norn in your command zone is going to be way stronger than Syr Alin. Now, Syr Alin's going to be much more of an underdog. When people see Elesh Norn in your command zone, they're going to play against you differently. Seeing Syr Alin in the command zone, they're not necessarily expecting Elesh Norn, especially on turn 4. So That's all a thing. Brings us back to our turn. We draw a Sword of Light and Shadow, which I actually like a lot, because now if this stuff gets blown up, we can get it back. So let's get the Thaumatic Compass right here. I guess we'll go for our commander. Don't want to show the Light and Shadow yet. If anyone has artifact removal, they're going to be likely to fire that at the Light and Shadow. So send Syr Ascendant over to the red player, and the other ones at the token player. So red player down to 18, Rhys down to 31, mana crypt flip on the red player. Down to 15. Someone said would rather have Elesh Norn banned over Iona. I mean, in the scheme of things, Elesh Norn shows up a lot more than Iona ever did. Iona's really bad against one player typically. Elesh Norn is bad against everyone. In my opinion, Elesh Norn ends way more games than Iona does. And even within that realm, there are many things that end way more games than Iona does, or make it so you can't play. Sire of Insanity is still a card. Vorinclex is a card. Void Winnower is a card. Jinga Taxes. These are all things that say you don't get to play Magic after this point, so... Opponent does lay down a Lavaborn Muse. At the beginning of each opponent's upkeep, if they have 2 or fewer cards in hand, deals 3 damage to them. Opponent casts a Momentous Fall, sacrifices the Prowling Serpent Pod, gets a couple extra cards, lays down a Gruul Locket. Opponent's going to cast a Hero of Bladehold. That's a card in this deck, and a card that I absolutely love. The Battlecry mechanic also, which is essentially what this deck is built around, is really good in Boros decks. Opponent going to put some boots on it, yep. And just really good with multiple combat steps. Hero of Bladehold, just so good in Aurelia. One of the best damage dealers in an Aurelia deck, whether you're concerned about tokens or not. So, yeah. We're drawn to a Benelish Marshal. Let's activate the Thaumatic Compass, grab a land, play land, and why not just go for the overcommits right here. Lay down the Benelish Marshal. We'll go a big swing into the Thromok opponent. Syr Alin will trigger. We'll get a Battle Cry. Bunch of damage getting thrown around. Red player goes down to 5 life. Gonna activate the Labra Crew. That's gonna be 3 damage to each opponent. That puts us at 60 after the life gain, so we're not doing too bad. Mana Crypt flip on them. Wins the flip, stays at 5. Dagger Caster. Enters battlefield, deals 1 damage to each opponent and 1 damage to each creature your opponents control. That's gonna be 3 damage. That's gonna get a few things. Oh, nope. We've all got 4 power. Well, good thing we played the Benelish Marshal. Opponent's gonna need a little bit more to wipe our board. And does not appear to have it. Hero of Bladehold does go down, though. Dragon Broodmother, that's a good one. It's also got flying. Makes it a little bit harder to get in. Actually, well, Elesh Norn makes that so much less scary. So one thing I was thinking about, I've been thinking a lot about mono white decks and what they need. Maybe this game, not such a good example of mono white having the struggles, but typically mono white can be just a bit behind the curve. Mono White, I think, needs a token producer similar to Dragon Broodmother or Verdant Force, where you get to make a token every upkeep. Because Mono White does care a lot about tokens, and they don't have, like... They have a couple creatures that produce tokens, but a lot of it comes from sorceries, which isn't the best. You want something that's more continuous, and something like a White Dragon Broodmother would be really, really good. Opponent creates a token. It immediately dies. Oh, opponent wanted to get the this guy into Chain Whirler, but not enough red mana. And that is a cost of running a lot of non-basics in your deck. Triple red is going to be a thing that's hard to hit if you're running a high number of utility lands. Anyway, we draw land, play a land. What's the quickest way to finish this game out? We could Grasp of Fate, remove a blocker. That's one way to go. Or we could just kind of go straight through the front door. I guess we'll play the Angel of Jubilation. Go further into the overcommits. We'll activate the Thaumatic Compass. Get 1 last land. Syr Ascendant into the red player. I think everything else at the Thromok. Syr Alin will trigger. Maybe I could have did that math better. Probably could have... Nah, might be fine, actually. Who knows. We probably could have got a little damage into the Rhys opponent. Yep, there's the entrapment maneuver. Okay, what are we sacrificing? Probably a Recruiter of the Guard. Yep, sacrifice the Recruiter. That's the one we're most want to get back with a Light and Shadow. And opponent's tokens immediately die to the Elesh Norn. 2 players going down. -6, -7. Boom. Alright, opponent needs a board wipe. Do they have one? We're overcommitted pretty good. I mean, it's going to take us a minute to really get going with the sword. If they just go Wrath of God, keep hitting some land drops along the way, maybe draw a card or 2. We do have a lot of life, though, so it will be a mountain to climb, but... here comes a generous gift on the Elesh Norn. Okay. Elesh Norn down. And now I'll probably use the Light and Shadow to try to get that back, because obviously Elesh Norn is insane. That's really the card that's put us into our current position. We draw land, play land, play the Light and Shadow. Put Light and Shadow on, we'll say this, Air Ascendant. Do some attacking. We get a Battle Cry trigger. And opponent just dies. I didn't even think that was going to be lethal. Nice. Mono white is OP. Please nerf. So we had a crazy game right there. We turn 1 Soul Ring, which puts us ahead. That's one really big thing. Actually, even more than that, we had the Soul Ring into the turn 2 Crack of Myriad Landscape, which puts us 3 mana ahead of everyone else, which put us into a turn 4 Elesh Norn, and Elesh Norn is super, super strong. Opponents just didn't have that much removal on hand that early in the game. So that's just that's a hard thing to overcome. Normally, you'd expect a bit more removal. If anyone has a Blasphemous Act, that's going to get us really good, and that's going to slow everything down. We're going to lose a lot of pieces, and then we're going to be, you know, thinking about the late game much more right there. So this game is just a product of us ramping like crazy. This would be a good game to make an argument for why Soul Ring and Mana Crypt are very bannable. Because you can start doing crazy stuff like you lay down a Signet or you get a Myriad Landscape Crack earlier than you're expecting. All that stuff is very good. And exacerbated by the fact that opponents just didn't have removal. Need some sort of board wipe for what we had going right there, and they did not. So, again, my analysis still stands true. So, you know, this game was really about Elesh Norn. If you're trying to do this token pump thing, Elesh Norn out of the command zone is probably your best bet, honestly. Again, people will play you differently if they're seeing Syr Alin versus Elesh Norn in the command zone. But yeah, it's a cute little token deck. You know, I would call this a mid-power deck. It's going to struggle with stronger things, in my opinion, pretty heavily. If you start talking about, like, Mass Bounce, that's going to be really scary. Graveyard Recursion, repeatable engines, that sort of stuff. All going to be pretty scary for this deck. A lot of removal, probably not great either. So yeah, it's a very straightforward, just kind of like line up all your creatures and your tokens and swing with them and try to pump them up. And it can be very easy to disrupt that kind of plan. So, you know, I think of this as a very fair deck. I would not want to take this deck against, like, Yarok or something like that. Some crazy Sultai deck that's going to generate absurd amounts of value and things like that. But, so anyway, yeah, it's been a fun little look at Syr Alin right there. We got a crushing victory, mostly on the hands of Soul Ring and Elesh Norn. But, yeah, hope you guys enjoyed the video. As always, feel free to comment, like, or subscribe. Thank you for watching.